I'm Nora Ashford, and for 9 summers, my parents sent me to my grandmother's cabin while my brother got the real vacations. For 9 years, they sent one postcard each summer, each carrying the same hollow message. The morning after graduation, my car was packed. By midnight, I was crossing into another state, and they had no idea where. It took them 4 years to find me. And when my mother walked into my bookstore in Colorado, the first words out of her mouth weren't an apology. She'd come for something else entirely. Welcome to Zarabell Stories, where the quiet ones finally speak. That red duffel bag appeared on my bed the last day of 3rd grade. My mother smiled and said, "Your own travel bag." I was 9. I thought it meant theme parks, like my brother Derek had gotten. Instead, 2 days later, we drove 4 hours to Arkansas, to my grandmother Rose's small white house. My parents stayed for lunch. Then my father carried the bag up the porch steps. My mother knelt down and said the phrase that would echo through my childhood, "Strong kids don't complain." She kissed me and drove off with Derek toward a Florida beach. I stood on that porch and didn't complain. I was already too good at it. Here's the detail it took me 20 years to admit. The Florida trip was planned in February. The bag was bought in March. Nobody told me until June. The decision to send me away existed for months before anyone thought I deserved an explanation. Every summer followed the same pattern. 2nd week of June, the bag went in the trunk. Lunch at Grandma's. The car pulling away with 3 people inside. Then in July, a postcard would arrive in my mother's bubbly handwriting. 9 summers, 9 cards. Everyone said the same thing, "Wish you were here." Rose would hand me the card without a word. I'd read them over and over, searching for something that wasn't there. Never once did one say, "We miss you." Never once did one say, "Next year you'll come." The message was never an invitation. It was a caption. "Look at the family having its vacation." In September, I'd write that essay every kid writes, what I did on my summer break. I'd write about Arkansas and get a B+. My mother would stick it on the refrigerator next to a photo of Derek on a jet ski. By the 4th year, I stopped writing honestly. Nobody noticed. To be fair to my parents, the story didn't start with a duffel bag. It started with a hospital. When Derek was 8 and I was 4, he was diagnosed with lymphoma. 3 years of chemo. My mother slept beside his bed. My father worked double shifts. And somewhere in that emergency, my family reorganized itself with one center, Derek. I understand it. A house on fire organizes around the fire. Derek got his remission. That should have been the end. Instead, it became the founding document. My parents emerged with a mission, make memories with Derek, because they'd almost run out of chances. And they developed a belief about me that hardened like concrete. Nora is the easy one. Nora is healthy. Nora doesn't need anything. The vacations without me didn't start during the illness. They started after. The emergency ended. But the system it built did not. The summer I turned 11, I made my case for the Grand Canyon. I practiced a speech in the bathroom mirror. I stood in the kitchen and delivered it. My mother knelt to my eye level, voice soft. "This trip is for your brother. After everything he's been through. Strong kids don't complain." My father said nothing. That was his specialty. I went to my room. Around 10 that night, I heard the zipper on the stairs. My red duffel bag was already packed, already waiting by the front door. I hadn't touched it. Somebody had answered my speech hours before I gave it. I never asked again. But here's the thing. The summers weren't the punishment. Grandma Rose's cabin was the one place where I wasn't the easy one or the quiet one. I was just Nora. Rose had spent 40 years running a diner. She put me to work. Real dough, real scales. She taught me pie crust, standing behind me with her hands over mine. When I ruined a batch, she made me diagnose it. Too much water. Warm butter. We did it again. At her table, my answers actually changed things. One night when I was 12, she said, "In this house, you're not the quiet one. You're just Nora." Then she seemed about to say something else. She didn't. She refilled my milk instead. The summer I turned 13, I found out why. I came downstairs for water. Rose was on the phone. Her voice was sharp, pleading. "Then let her stay with me for the school year." A long silence. Then she said, "You can't take what someone's already given away." I must have made a sound. She turned, saw me, and her face changed back into summer grandma. She walked me upstairs with her hand warm on my shoulder. We never spoke about it. I filed it away like kids do, in a drawer that doesn't open until it's ready. Something changes in a girl the year she stops asking. My parents called it maturity. My mother repeated the word like a trophy.
But it was arithmetic.
Around 15, I opened a notebook and wrote a date, May 2015, the month I'd turn 18.
Under it, I started a countdown. I did the math on everything. What a room cost. What a used car cost. What a person could save if she was invisible. And invisible was my native language.
The summer I turned 17, I asked to skip Arkansas and stay home to work.
My parents approved in under a minute.
No follow-up questions. So independent, my mother told the neighbors.
I waited tables all summer.
Every night, I banded my tips and slid them into an envelope taped inside my closet. On the envelope I wrote one word, out. By graduation, the envelope was a showbox holding $5,800.
They assumed college. Let them.
Colleges send letters, and letters can be intercepted.
They thought I was saving for tuition. I was saving for a door.
I chose my future at the public library with an atlas.
Far enough that nobody could drive there on a whim.
Cheap enough to live on diner wages.
And it had to need bakers.
One afternoon, I turned to a photo spread of the San Juan Mountains in Colorado.
A town called Durango.
I remember thinking it looked like Rose's lake, if the lake had grown up and moved out too.
I told no one, not even Rose. Leaving her out was the only part that felt like swallowing glass. But I knew my mother.
The only way to protect Rose from having to lie was to make sure she had nothing to lie about.
Graduation came. My parents showed up.
40 minutes in, my mother whispered they had to leave early for Derek's signing dinner.
She squeezed my wrist. So proud.
When they called my name, I walked the stage and looked out at 2 empty chairs.
And here's the strange thing. It didn't hurt. It felt like a receipt.
The universe itemizing exactly what I was to them. That night, I ate dinner with them. At 4 a.m, I left. I left a note on the table. I'm safe.
I'm an adult.
Please don't look for me.
I signed it N, the way Rose shortened my name.
Then I backed out of the driveway with my headlights off. 3 days, 1,500 miles.
I slept twice in Walmart parking lots.
Somewhere in Nebraska, I swapped in a prepaid SIM.
My old number died in a trash can outside Omaha.
On the 3rd evening, I came over a rise and the whole town of Durango opened up below me.
18 years old. Everything I owned in a hatchback. Nobody in the world knew where I was.
It felt like the first full breath since I was 9. 9 days later, a sheriff's deputy knocked on my motel door. My mother had filed a missing person report.
I showed him my driver's license and lease.
Are you here of your own free will?
Yes. He had me sign a form. My family would be notified I was safe but not where I was.
The system my mother thought would fetch me home instead drew a curtain between us.
One last voicemail got through. Nora, this is dramatic.
We raised you better.
I deleted it mid-word.
That was the last I heard from her for 4 years. I found work at a cafe called the Harvest Table.
Washed dishes 10 hours a day and loved it. Found a studio apartment.
When the heater died, I fixed it myself. Somewhere in 9 summers, I'd absorbed the family catechism, needing things as a tax other people pay. The cafe's owner, Sophia, let me bake.
I rolled out crust the way Rose taught me.
Sophia took a bite and asked where I learned. My grandmother, she said. Then your grandmother raised a baker. 2 years in, the red duffel bag was still packed. One Sunday night, I opened it to empty it for good.
At the bottom was the showbox. 9 postcards.
Wish you were here. I carried the box to a burn barrel and stood there with a lighter for a long time.
Then I went back inside.
Burning them felt like one more disappearance. Instead, I turned each card over and wrote what that summer had actually been. Summer 3, I taught myself to swim because no one was there to watch. Summer 5, I stopped crying at drop-off and everyone praised me. Summer 8, Rose asked what I wanted and I couldn't answer. 9 cards, 2 handwritings, 2 versions of one childhood.
By my 3rd year, I was the baker.
Sophia wanted to retire. The cafe was worth $160,000. She offered it to me for $35,000 down, seller financed. I went home and taped graph paper to my closet door. At the top, I wrote $35,000. Under it, the number I had, $21,600.
Tips. Overtime. No streaming. Boots resold instead of replaced. 24. 29.
36. This was the first thing I'd ever wanted where losing it could actually hurt me. Every June, I mailed Rose a blank postcard of the Durango Mountains.
No return address. Just a small pie doodled on the back.
Our entire correspondence. Then the local magazine wrote about my huckleberry pie. My name in print. Nora Ashford. 2 weeks later, a second cousin from Illinois commented on the online article. Isn't this Barbara's girl?
It was a Tuesday in October.
The bell over the cafe door rang.
I looked up. My mother was standing in the middle of my cafe. 4 years. 1,500 miles. Behind her, holding the door, my father. He looked smaller. His hand was trembling. She took it all in. The chalk menu. The framed article.
The apron tied twice around my waist. And she said, "So this is what you left your family for?"
That's when I knew. Not an apology. A pickup. I poured them coffee. They sat at the counter.
For 20 minutes, my mother gave me the authorized history of my childhood.
In her version, I'd had 9 wonderful summers.
In her version, my disappearance was a phase.
She believed every word.
She'd built a version of our family where every choice was love. Finally, I asked, why did it take so long to find me?
My father spoke for the first time. I did, he barely whispered.
My mother's hand landed on his sleeve and he stopped. Then she got to the point. Your father has Parkinson's. Derek has children, a career.
You understand? You've always been the strong one.
It's time to come home.
Home for Thanksgiving. A family announcement.
I took my wrist back gently and said, no.
Just one word. I told them the kitchen needed me. They should try the huckleberry before the drive back.
That night, Derek called. Was it true you hated going to Grandma Rosie's? I said, I hated what it meant.
And I told him everything.
He said, Mom told me you loved it there. I believed her. Don't disappear on me again.
I called Rose. She told me the rest.
When I was 13, she'd offered to take me for the school year. My mother turned it down.
The reason? Not how it would look.
A daughter shipped off for good. People would ask questions.
A daughter loaned out for summers. That was wholesome.
9 summers was the maximum my absence could weigh while the family photo still framed upright.
It was never thoughtlessness. It was policy. I flew home for Thanksgiving. Rose met me at the airport.
We got a motel by the interstate. A boundary you can't walk out of isn't a boundary. It's a guest room. At the house, I saw the hallway wall covered with Derek in every size. My old bedroom was an exercise room now. On the kitchen hutch, a wicker basket held duplicates of my postcards, displayed for company. Our family kept 2 archives of the same 9 summers. My father handed me a folded paper on the porch. Read it after.
I put it in my pocket.
Thanksgiving dinner.
14 guests. The good china.
Napkins folded into swans. My mother announced that I was moving home to help.
The room applauded.
I was the announcement, the way the turkey was the centerpiece.
Then my 4-year-old niece pointed a fork at me.
Who is that lady? The question hung there because that was the actual state of the family. I stood up.
I lowered my voice until the room had to come to me.
I'm not moving home, I said. But nobody will say I left my father shaking at a table. Here's what's happening instead. I've hired a nurse. 3 mornings a week to start. The invoices come to me. It's already scheduled. My mother said, after everything this family has given you. I said, you gave me a duffel bag, Mom. Every June. I told them I'd visit twice a year as a guest, invited not assigned. And my name was retired from family announcements. My mother gave her final warning. If you walk out of this house, don't bother coming back. I looked at her and said, that house key hasn't fit me since I was 9.
My father stood shaking.
The room stopped breathing.
Then my mother broke.
I was 12, she said. When your grandmother's legs went, somebody had to do the cooking, the washing, the lifting. And it was me.
It was always me.
And nobody ever asked me either. There it was. The whole machine.
The duffel bag. The postcards. The strong one. Something she inherited.
She had been the girl at the sink, and she'd survived by deciding being unasked was a badge.
Rose spoke softly from the end of the table.
Barbara, she's not you. Let her go. I said, nobody asked you, Mom.
That's why I'm stopping this.
So nobody at this table ever has to be asked. They just get to belong.
Then I turned to my father.
He said, read it, Nor. I unfolded the paper. It was an invoice from a private investigator dated 14 months after I left. At the bottom, no result. Case closed at client request. And in my father's handwriting, your mother said to stop. I stopped. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry.
I folded it up and put it in my pocket.
I stepped around the table and put my hand over his. The nurse starts Monday. And when you're ready to visit Colorado, I'll teach you to make pie crust.
It took them 4 years to find me.
It took me 9 summers to stop waiting to be found.
The nurse started that Monday.
My dad sends me photos from his flip phone.
We talk Sundays.
My mother and I haven't spoken. At Christmas, a card arrived signed, Mom.
Not sorry, not love, just the title she isn't ready to lose. Sophia and I signed in March.
I own the harvest table now. In July, Derek visited with his daughter.
She renamed me Aunt Pie.
He read the backs of all 9 postcards and said, I'm sorry I never turned the cards over. The red duffel bag holds holiday tablecloths on top of the pantry hutch now. As for what I learned, it fits in one sentence.
Family isn't who shares your blood. It's who never lets you be the one who's missing.
Thanks for watching Zarabell Stories. If this reminded you of the summers you spent being the strong one, tell me in the comments.
Subscribe and I'll see you in the next.